parents want their children to be happy, healthy, and prosperous. It is every parent's goal. To achieve those, parents must fulfill the parenting tasks essential to support the children's growth and development. While coping with the fast-changing world, parenting style keeps changing from time to time. This method urges the parents to learn and apply the improved parenting skills since it's become more challenging than before, but it is worth the effort. Experts have laid out the various approaches to cope with these issues. Parents' style of interaction will affect the immediate and lasting effects that could have influenced the children for the rest of their lives. It includes the children's social functioning to academic achievements. Thus, it is up to the parents to choose the best parenting style for their children. It is undeniable that the lack of implementation of parenting skills in child rearing nowadays has impaired the value of the children. Parenting education could be the best solution to prevent these problems. Aside from focusing on the children's life, parents need support through parenting education, as it is to promote a positive parenting practices and help increase parents' knowledge of child development and communication styles. Therefore, it can help parents gain confidence, prevent any future difficulties, and help their family to get along well.
In recent years, children have gone astray as a result of improper parenting approach used by many parents who lack sufficient direction. Unfortunately, they assume that there is no skill or knowledge required to raise a child. They believe that simply by sending the child to a school or providing whatever they need or desired is sufficient enough to mold them into a decent person. Educating a child can be a simple task to some parents. However, it is undeniable that educating a child can be the most challenging thing to some parents. Parental education is frequently connected with adolescent social problems. Youth being antisocial even with their families and acting aggressively in public space is becoming a typical occurrence in society. Antisocial children are more likely to drop out of school, having difficulty finding jobs, and having difficulties in maintaining a healthy relationship. Antisocial behavior may haunt them for the rest of their life. Therefore, parents should pay more attention and lead their children. It is heartbreaking to see a child being labeled as a problematic children just because they don't know how to behave themselves when the blame actually lies on the adults and parents. Having a child has always been a once-in-a-lifetime experience for everyone. No one can claim to be an expert in this sector until they have their own child. As a result, first-time parent has always been inexperienced in caring for their child. Therefore, they may have not realized that they have abused their child. What exactly does child abuse constitute? Let me explain to you. Child abuse can be defined as physical or emotional abuse, sexual abuse, neglect, or other exploitment that can cause potential or real harm to the child's life, dignity, or development. Therefore, even a slightest mistreatment toward a child can be constituted as a child abuse. With all of these problems in mind, me and my partner are determined to learn more about parental education and to figure out the best way to educate a child. We want children to grow up in a happy life, healthy environment, and a good education since they are the future of this country. The debate over how parents should educate their children have long been a hot topic among the netizens. In our nation, we occasionally witness a youngster develop into a remarkable individual. However, we may also witness an adult begging for money on the street. What is the underlying cause for this duality between these two people? The reason is the child upbringing. There are various types of parents in terms of educating a child. The authoritarian parent is the most typical type of parent who constantly making decisions for their child without taking into account their opinion. Authoritarianism can be regarded as a rigorous disciplinary approach with little space for negotiation. This type of parenting is not as nurturing as others. Punishment is common. The communication is one way from parent to kids, and the regulations are rarely articulated. The parents have many expectations for the kids, yet there is only a little tiny room for error. This type of parenting may be beneficial since the child will become obedient and comply with their parental regulation, but it can bring a negative impact on the child's development. There are also parents who allow their children to make their own decisions without any limit or discipline. This is termed as permissive parent. This type of parent, in contrast to authoritarian parents, usually allow their children to make their own decisions and provide little supervision and guidance. As far as possible, this type of parent try to avoid employing compulsion and conflict. Children who grow up under permissive parents are usually very happy, but they lack self-control and self-reliance due to the lack of structure at home. Lastly, uninvolved parents appear to be prudent at educating their children since they overlook their children's decision-making abilities. There are no regulations, and it doesn't matter who they befriend with. In order to develop a sense of maturity and independence beyond their age, many children raised in this manner want to provide for themselves and quit relying on their parents. Uninvolved parents fail to supervise or monitor their children's behavior, as well as promoting or encouraging their self-regulation, resulting in aberrant behavior. When a child no longer trusts their parent, in future they will have trust issue. Parents must learn about parenting skills and be willing to be educated on how to raise a kid. What is the significance of this? This is because there is a link between the outcome of the parental education and the development of the children. At the age around 6, the child begins to perceive everything around him, gaining new skills to solve problems and find a solution. They also begin to understanding, reflecting, and judging. It is important for the parent at this period of time to gently coach their children so that they can understand and improve their talent. Have you ever heard the term parental scaffolding? Parental scaffolding refers to giving a responsive assistance for a kid to become actively involved in problem solving. It is also supposed to aid the kid's development in self-control and executive function abilities in youngsters, allowing them to gradually take responsibility for their own well-being. However, most parents nowadays aren't concerned about this matter, as they believe their child can do anything on their own without needing any explanation from adults, particularly parents. This type of education may appear to be encouraging a kid's independence at such young age, but it makes them feel clueless, helpless, and powerless as they do not know what they're supposed to do. It is indisputable that parents may employ various strategies to teach their children. However, the most successful strategy is to use a method corresponding generation in which the kid was born. It is common nowadays for parents to use a conventional method such as disciplining their children when they make a mistake. This strategy appeared to be the most successful in the past, but since time has passed, we no longer need to utilize it. Children currently adjust more rapidly than we did in the past. Therefore, by simply reprimanding them and explaining what they did wrong is enough for them to realize their mistake. If we chastise them, children may think that it is irrational and may even feel that they are being treated unfairly, leading them to rebel. That's why, in today's world, Parent education in parenting skill is important as many things have changed since the past. To reiterate, a child's growth is heavily impacted by how they are educated by their parent. If a child education is contemporaneous with their generation, it may have a positive influence on the child's development. Hence, parental abilities has a significant effect on the child's development.
Main question that comes to our mind is, what are the best strategies to improve parenting abilities? What can we do to be a better parents? New parents are often having some worries about raising their children. It is a normal situation since every parent in the world is a first timer, right? No one could automatically master the parenting skill right away after giving birth. This knowledge is not given, but it is acquired. It is good to have worries on this matter since it indicates that such parents are at their first step to become the best parents for their children. First and foremost, parents must learn through observation or parenting education programs. Observing others' skill can help in improving parenting as there are lots of role models of parenting in social media. Secondly, love and affection. Parents need to show their affection toward their children. Let them know that they are being loved in the family. That's how to raise a happy, living child without them being anxious. Not to forget, the power of hugs should have never been downgraded. Science had proven that nurturing touch, such as gentle hugging, can stimulate the young brain to grow healthily. Third, let your child grow. Overparenting or overprotective is bad for the children, and it is not considered as providing love when parents are doing all things that could have been done by the children themselves. It is understandable to be worried about their well-being and want to prevent them from a negative experience. However, parents also should learn to let their children fail to teach them to be resilient when exposing the real world. So what parents can do to stimulate their problem-solving skills? It is by assigning them chores and letting their kids do new things, explore things. This could help them to be responsible and participate in household chores. Lastly, parents could assess their parenting skill by themselves or with the help of the professionals. There is a psychometric study of parenting skills assessment to measure behavior, beliefs, coping mechanism, reactions to stress or discipline. These factors will allow them in advising the parents to solve the areas that giving them the most difficulties in child rearing. Since there are various types of parenting, sometimes we wonder what are the outcomes of each different style of parenting. So now let's see how an authoritative parenting, which always use a positive discipline strategies like praising and reward system. So this type of parenting is the best type of all since it leads to the best outcomes in kids, such as the children's emotional health, social skill, and resiliency. The children also would have a better attachment with their parents. In other words, they demonstrate stronger self-regulatory skills who are great in connecting with peers, generating relationship with the teachers, negotiating with their social world, and succeeding academically. The second type of parenting is permissive parenting, where they act more like friends than parents. They allow their children to figure things out by themselves. By looking at how they interact with each other, there are no behavioral control. This would lead the children to become more aggressive and have some behavioral problems. As you can see here, the father would give out everything the daughters demand. Meanwhile, an involved parent has some expectation of their children to raise themselves. They do not care much to meet the children's basic needs. Unfortunately, the children's upbringing would be poor, especially in the academic performance and social skills. Being neglected by their parents are not healthy for both mental and physical health. Since they do not feel loved, they are prone to be rebellious and looking for another kind of interaction. In terms of physical health, they might suffer from malnutrition since no one cares for their food. The last type of parenting is authoritarian parenting, which always use a disciplinary method in nurturing their children. This type of parent normally develops a close relationship with their children. As you can see here, the princess at last become more responsible and capable of self-regulation. The children can do better in regulate their negative emotions, which lead to greater social results and emotional wellness. As these parents promote independence, the children will learn that they can achieve their goals on their own, so the children will grow up with more confidence, like the princess in Brave.
Children are the future of our country. They deserve a good upbringing, to be treated properly, and the most importantly, to grow up in a good environment with people who understand them. We are actually providing an opportunity for them to become a wonderful person in the future. Whether we realize or not, parent is actually grooming a future leader of our nation. The only difference is whether they are successful in teaching their child or not. Therefore, parents should start immersing themselves in mastering parenting skill. As the saying goes, every home is a university and every parent is a teacher.